Hello everybody, it's your boy Hawka, the Counter-Strike Scholar, back with another video, this time taking a look at Gambit and how they use their contact plays and fast pace to completely dominate Astralis on this T side of Inferno. As an analyst, I think I'm oftentimes biased towards those teams that have the new nades, the really cool executes, the really amazing team play. But I think Gambit are a team who are doing things slightly differently, and they've been really effective with some of their dry peaks and the way they just don't give away information with nades to their opponents. And I think this game was a great example of this clash of styles between Astralis, who pioneered the team play and utility usage, and Gambit, who are now relying more on pace and on timings, but not necessarily all the same nades. Before we get into the video, I want to quickly remind you, I'm trying to hit 100k subs by the end of the year, so help me out, subscribe if you haven't, and let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it. After losing the first two T rounds, Gambit go on a flawless streak once they hit the gun rounds, and it starts here against this bonus round from Astralis where they have a couple of weaker weapons. Magisk mollies off the apartments early, and Bubsky follows up with a nade to try and do a bit of early damage to those players taking apps. And then partly because of these early nades and partly because Astralis maybe have to take some risks in this round with some of those weaker weapons, they decide to stack 3 players into top mid, assuming Gambit might use some nades if they try and take apartments control. That's not what ends up happening though, as Gambit end up going completely silent on this apartments take, just dry peeking and walking into all these angles, and this gives them a great element of surprise as they prepare this pop out through the apartments. From here, they even have a little trick up their sleeve as the first flash is thrown out through the apps. Magisk tries to turn away from it, but there's a second flash flying in from top mid a split second later that blinds him as soon as he hears the first flash go off. So he thinks he's safe to hold the angle when he hears that first flash, and then just turns into this second flash, which full whites him and allows Gambit to get out onto the site. This was a really nice trick play, and the way that Hobbit and Nafany jump out of the apartments initially also sets up Axel for quite an easy early kill. Because Magisk shot at those first few players, he knows exactly where to look on this entry to help Gambit win a clean and easy early round. Into the next round, and Gambit's success here is kind of a similar story. Nafany works on the apartments control, making a bit more noise this time round, but it's really this peek from Axile into top mid that gets that good bit of early information that Gambit are then really effective at making the most of. Instead of having to set up any nades to clear out mid and give away that you're taking top mid early, Axile just peeks it dry, and now Gambit can use their nades much more effectively. They know they can instantly just focus on smoking off some of these angles on long, like Arch and Library, so they set up those smokes alongside a flash to just push up long quickly, and Axel even goes jumping round the corner before these smokes have popped in case the CT is trying to push through them and cause some shenanigans. Instead, though, it ends up being a pretty clean and easy A-wrap for Gambit. Because they've got so much ground early, and because Astralis didn't know they were so far up, it's always going to be a good wrap into this A site, and that first shot from Axel certainly doesn't hurt them. Into round 20, Gambit know that Astralis only have a couple of saved guns in this round, and this is where they show they can take a more standard approach to rounds, just using nades to slowly take map control before making that final call. We also get 2 early mollies, which Gambit like to use in every round. They always throw a molly at top banana, and they always throw a molly into those apartments early, which is just a nice way to either stop the CT aggression completely, or at least force the CTs to go ahead and use some nades of their own to maybe smoke out that molly if they want to push. And that gives you that early bit of info so that you can respond to it. But as I was saying, this round is more standard, just using nades to take map control. And then finally, as we get towards the end of the round, They pick correctly as they go ahead and start to split into B. It's only poor Zipex there for Astralis, and it gets even worse for him when he gets bad timing on spotting this first player cross and even quick switches away from his gun. So that's a write-off from Astralis at that point. You are done for once Zipex goes down. Into round 21, it's Axile who's doing a lot of the early work, dry peeking up Banana, doing great damage to Glaive early on, and baiting out a bunch of Astralis' nades very early in the round. This forces a response, an adaptation from Astralis, who decide to rotate Glaive away from B, bringing Dupree over to assist, because he has more nades and more health. But this is already switching up those spots slightly and could cause some issues for the CTs. And from here, Gambit yet again make very little noise across the map. Eventually, they start throwing a few nades towards top mid, which Astralis completely bite on. And again, the B push is so fast here. Just a couple of flashes are put into the B site, and that means even though Zipex has a molly, which he in theory could put down to counter this, Gambit give him no time to get the chance to use it because they're so quick at pushing towards the site. Zipex gets traded. Another round where they pick the right site and win the round. Into round 22, Gambit go back to their fast-paced play. Astralis try this stack in Boiler, but Dupree's smoke at top mid is thrown poorly, and that means both of the players from Boiler end up having to run back because they're sitting in the smoke. And as they start running back to short, Gambit go for that fast play, pop flashing through the smoke, blinding Dupree early, and Nafni is able to hunt down the kill. I think part of the issue here may have been Dupree having the expectation his teammates would be helping him from short from the start of the round, but then that changed mid-round, so he gets caught out. But the other part of the issue is Nafni can just hear those players running back over to short. So he knows he only really has to focus on A long in this initial fight. And it works out for him and for Gambit as they're able to wrap this A site with ease once they have so much ground gained on long. Oh, and also, final quick detail are these nades and mollies that Shiro throws into pit. Just clearing out that position completely and making it much easier to fully focus on this site. Round 23 is the one that really sealed the deal for me on this half, being brilliant though. Gambit set up in the same way with Shiro preparing this flash for top mid while Nafni's ready to go aggressive early. Dupree is AWPing on the short side of top mid, but there are only two CTs there. So once he gets this first kill, he tries to scramble back into position over towards A long, but Nafni has already pushed up so far into Arch that the Astralis team just aren't ready for him, and he pops off to get two great kills early. I love the way Gambit spaced that push at top mid with Inters going down early to allow Nafni to get into a great position just with the pace. But I also love a lot of the other extenuating factors surrounding this round. For example, Axar was battling over on Banana. He hears two CTs molly early and decides to throw a smoke of his own to fake contesting Banana control. But once he hears the third molly, now Gambit can know and can communicate that it's likely a 3B setup early and that Nafni only has to be aware of two CTs playing that A site. And the other factor worth considering is that AWP of Dupree gets the kill from short early, and generally he's going to be AWPing on that A long position, which I think is part of the reason why Nafni is running in with literally no fear onto long to make sure he can just get in the best position possible to win this round. Beautifully done. And then this final round is just a great example of how unorthodox this no sound or almost no utility style of play can be, and the other teams just aren't ready for these sorts of plays. This round starts fairly standard. Gambit go 1-for-1 on Banana. It's into a 4v4, and with little time left on the clock, the Gambit players start walking up into the apartments. Three of them get into good positions, while Shiro is faking B with a bunch of nades and the AWP. So Astralis can hear that AWP scoping in on Banana with little time remaining. And normally having an AWP on the fake is not a great idea. He can easily just get overwhelmed or just run down by the riflers. And Astralis themselves are clearly even thinking this to some extent because they start to try and push top mid to get information to see if they can start that fast rotation. Problem is, they're not ready for 3 players to just jump out of the apartments out of nowhere with no nades. It's such a big risk to take this late on in the round, but the risk pays off because Astralis see these players jumping out apps, still end up rotating over to B, where Shiro can just sit and wait for them to come to him, and they get a free bomb plant on A. Shiro is even able to cut off a rotator from that B site, and it ends up eventually being a Gambit round win, and a really weird one. But just the fact that they went silent on the map for so long made Astralis assume there's no way they're just going to jump out 3 apartments this late in the round. You can see the power that this silent play can have sometimes. Definitely can make teams paranoid. Anyway, bit of a quicker video here today, but I just wanted to show off this cool T side from Gambit and their more unique style of play they've had on Inferno. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, subscribe, all that good stuff if you enjoy the content. I'll catch you next time.